Another fine show brought to you by the Law of Attraction Radio Network. The Law of Attraction Talk Radio is the radio show that is changing the world through science and spirituality as we realize that our well-being and our happiness is through our own thoughts. The Law of Attraction Talk Radio with Jules. Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California. Well, today is your lucky day because we have a Rajah Sharma who developed a wonderful program called 0 Point Matrix with us tonight. It is very exciting because I really think it ties the missing component that we've been looking for in manifestation. All of the listeners know that I'm a firm believer in the power of the mind, but as Raj will let you know, you can actually energize your powerful mind through the science of breathing. So let's get started because there's a lot to cover tonight. Raj is a very successful entrepreneur and chef, owning a thriving restaurant and nightclub in Indianapolis. He is also an author who has been on his spiritual journey for the last 15 years, studying the principles of living through his guru father and grandfather in India. Traveling to remote places in China and Nepal, he began to understand the core essence of the law of attraction, which will connect the proverbial dots for many people who have vigilantly practiced LOA without success. After developing 0 Point Matrix successfully for himself and close friends and relatives, he began to realize that this profound information could easily shift the consciousness of the planet and all of its inhabitants, especially during these difficult times. Fortunately for us, he put all of the information together in guided meditation MP3s that will cleanse and change our thoughts just as easy as taking a deep breath. I am thrilled to introduce you to Rajah Sharma, a name that you'll be hearing more of in the coming months and years ahead. Welcome, Raj, to Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Thank you, Jewel. I am so excited to be here today.
Raj, you started your spiritual quest later in life. You're kind of like a prodigal son. Let's talk about your background a little bit.
It started very early. I didn't even realize it had started. In 1978, when I was in college, and I was a student in the first year, my subject was world religion and economics. And at that point, while I was learning, my professor started talking about manifestation. That was the first time I had heard this word, and I was so excited. Something happened. It stirred me. And that was the beginning. When I go back to my roots, that's what I remember. This is how it started. But since then, I forgot about it, and I went on and got into my college career, and I became a chef by profession. I got away from what my family was doing. My father actually was a priest. We had temples, and my grandfather was a yogi. And in the 1930s and 40s.
And they were in India, right?
That was in India, yes. And he was a yogi where they used to do a lot of Ayurvedic stuff, and they used to bring out, do a lot of meditation and everything else. When they brought this meditation and that knowledge, and at the same time the Ayurvedic to the kings, they were serving the kings of Baroda and the rich people in that. They used to give us land in return as a gift. So that's how we inherited a temple in the city that I was born, and my father used to take care of that. So eventually, in those years, when I was born, by the time I was born, it was all done, and my father was not too much into it. I got away from it, and I went to Bombay to become a chef. But then later on, it all came back to me in Indianapolis. When I was there, I had some experiences in Indianapolis, and at that time, Oprah started talking about The Secret. And once I learned about The Secret, I started to study it back, and that is how I got interested into it. And then eventually now I'm all the way back into it, and I realized that what people are talking about, the quantum physics and everything, is something that we studied at a very basic level, and we did it in our daily rituals at home.
In India.
In India, yes. One of my big things that I have learned in life actually is life begins, like they say, life begins at 40. But what I learned is everybody has their own journey. And the journey itself actually is the experience. You learn that. Even though I had gotten away from my roots, I learned a lot of things. But my message, so much that I am bringing out now, is not necessarily just based in Indian culture. When we talk about the intelligence that is behind us, okay, that is the one that actually creates the journey. So when I started my journey, I went in a total different direction. We are Brahmins, we don't eat meat and everything, but I actually was a chef by profession. So I went out of that, I did everything that we were not supposed to do. And so when I came here, I learned the Western culture. I got so involved into it. I always lived in small cities. I lived in Alaska. I have lived in California, in Oregon. So I know the Western culture quite deep into the core. And I understand the psychology and everything. So when we talk about things from India or from the Eastern culture, the Eastern theosophy, I think I have a benefit over a lot of other people from India because I have lived here and I have been a part of this country. It's been a wonderful country. I mean, I love this country because they are so open, they are so sharing, so giving. And that is what I believe, that there is a purpose in my journey. So I went out, I studied a different way. I studied, instead of Sanskrit, I studied English. So now when I look back, the whole journey had a purpose. Now when I'm trying to bring this knowledge out, the knowledge basically comes, a lot of it in languages that Hindi and Gujarati and Sanskrit. And so I can translate those things, I can experiment that, and then I can bring it out and try to explain people in a Western way where people can actually understand and comprehend.
Raj, I know that you are now out to help shift the consciousness of humanity. So what is it that you have learned through all of your research?
See, what I am seeing in the last 5 to 7 years, I have actually done a lot of research on this particular subject for about 8 years now, which I shouldn't say research, I have been actually practicing it. But my research has been passed for the last about 14 or 15 years. So on this particular different theosophies, different religions, I have tried to learn everything and see how the quantum physics works with this. So basically what I am seeing right now, and what I mean, everybody knows about this, the mental climate of this, the whole world is really, really hurting right now. I mean, there is wars going on, the economy is bad. Look at the oil spills and, the floods in Tennessee. All these things are happening. And this is not just one thing, it's a global thing, and it's related to our consciousness. And my quest here is to see what I can do to share my knowledge, to see if it would help maybe a little kind of awakening or, push people into that direction. That is what I want to bring to the table.
I applaud your